which would be, I believe, 20 or 24 foot wide. They're going to have to improve it to that distance. Parallel and to the west of 22nd Avenue would be 23rd. It would be a public street to access for all road construction vehicles, public infrastructure improvement vehicles going in and out of that site. So 22nd Avenue would not be used for construction activity. So that would be one of the roads through an easement of the adjacent landowner that construction would come north and south from 104th Street. In consideration of the variance this evening, the developer has agreed to the following. 1, all single-family homes built in the subdivision will utilize a residential grade sprinkler system that's designed and constructed to the current edition of NFPA 13D, installation of sprinkler systems in 1- and 2-family dwellings. This was something that was discussed with the fire chief and was considered to be a wonderful alternative to having that interconnection, and that the sprinkler systems could help to provide some suppression prior to the fire department getting to the site. Number 2, 24th Avenue would need to be a public street rather than a private street as shown on the original neighborhood plan, and 24th Avenue should be extended to the south in the future as vacant land to the south is proposed to be developed. When the roadway is extended to the south by the developer, the lots at 18 and 19 will remain on the cul-de-sac. There will be no adjustments to those lots. The developer shall dedicate the right-of-way for the future extension of 24th Avenue to the south as shown on the conceptual plan. And the third point is that in consideration of the variance, a temporary 40-foot wide off-site easement shall be secured, and we have a draft of that easement, from the adjacent property owner to the north, Rosamond Excavation, in care of Dominic Tervasi Jr., to be used for construction vehicles while installing the required public improvements for the home construction and as emergency access until additional public roadway access is provided either south towards 116th Street or west and then north to 104th Street. The temporary access shall be maintained so that it is accessible for emergency vehicles and construction vehicles at all times. It's not intended that that would just be a regular open public road, but it is intended to allow for the heavy equipment to go north and south. In addition, the village staff is recommending that 22nd Avenue be improved. At a minimum, 22nd Avenue shall be milled and resurfaced from the development north to 104th Street and shall remain as a rural profile. This would be at the developer's cost. The engineering plans would include information related to the existing 22nd Avenue roadway, including the core samples for the village's review and evaluation. A 20-foot cross-section is desired, and depending on the result of the core samples, the roadway may need to be improved to meet roadway specifications. 22nd Avenue, extending north in the subdivision, shall be tapered north of the property line to connect and blend into the existing 22nd Avenue. In addition, additional stormwater improvements may also be required to ensure drainage is not an issue at the end of 24th Avenue. The engineer for the project did have an opportunity to speak to some of the residents after the Plan Commission public hearing regarding the conceptual plan, and so possibly he can shed some light on some of the concerns or additional things that they would be looking at. A 10-year right of recovery could be afforded to the developer for municipal water, sewer, and roadway improvements, and that would be that portion of 24th Avenue south of 106th Street, as if and when lands to the west do develop and connect to the services in 24th Avenue. That is, if the project is approved by the village board. Again, construction vehicles utilized for the installation of public improvements and home construction shall enter and exit the site only from the temporary roadway, not through the 22nd Avenue leading to the north. As noted, the construction access for wetland mitigation on the southeast portion of the site, that does need to be discussed, because in order to get to that site, unless they're going down and through and they're going to take vehicles cross country, they have to be able to get to that very southeast corner for restoration of the project. The property is currently zoned M3, Mineral Extraction and Landfill District, and a portion of the property is also zoned R4, AGO, so it's a portion of it is residential. There is no 100-year floodplain on the property. A zoning map amendment will need to be advanced by the developer at such time as a preliminary plat is presented to the village. The zoning map amendment will also be required to make the modifications to the wetland areas. They've had a series of wetland delineations out there that have been approved by the Wisconsin DNR, and those areas that are wetland will have to be placed into the C1. Of course, the one area of question because of the restoration will be that area of 24th Avenue where they're proposing to extend the roadway. The petitioner then is requesting approval of the conceptual plan for the proposed 20-lot single-family subdivision south of 104th Street at 22nd Avenue. That is item B under new business. The first item is consideration of the variance to allow for the dead-ended roadway based on the considerations as set forth by the village staff. With that, I'd like to continue the public hearing.
Yes.
There is, because it's a variance.
Mm-hmm. Does the developer care to add anything to this?
Mark Early, Nielsen Manson Barber, 1339 Washington Avenue, Racine. Mr. Piccoli could not attend tonight, but he has agreed to the additional requirements for the variance, and will be working with the adjacent property owner to provide that 40-foot access, second access point to the site. He will also be working with the homeowners to provide the residential sprinkler system. So I'll be happy to answer any other questions you have, but he has agreed to those requirements.
Mr. President, Mike, before Mark leaves, one of the other items on the staff recommendation under item 3 as it relates to 22nd Avenue. I guess I'd like to add in that into that, because going out there and taking a look at it and looking at some of the plans, the road isn't centered. You know, so when that rebuilding takes place, it's to recenter that asphalt strip in there within the right of way that we have.
Okay.
So I'd like that to be considered a condition, or a scope of work in your plans as you prepare your final lot. So
Okay, that probably will require some ditching and some excavation, some base course work.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think it will, but I think it'll also probably alleviate some of the drainage problems that we've heard in that area. So
Okay. I did meet with 2 or 3 residents that are at the far end, dead end of the road last week after the meeting, and there's a distinct hump in the road before we get to the end. Those last two or three properties do drain towards the Paradise Lake subdivision, and in making that transition from the existing section to the new section, we will have to take care of that water in that area.
Okay.
So I will discuss with the developer the other requirements of 22nd Avenue.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. That being said, we'll open it up to the public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak on this item, we ask that you come forward. Use the microphone and give us your name and address for the record.
Nobody signed up on the sheets.
Anybody wishing to sign or to speak on this item? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. One for the village board, comments or questions? Mike?
Gene, who owns the gravel road right now?
Rossman Excavating, Dominic Terrassi Jr. to the north.
And what if he doesn't want to maintain that road after this subdivision goes in?
Possibly Mark can address that, but there is a temporary easement, and the easement needs to be in place for a period of time so that that road can continue to be maintained. And my assumption was that it was the neighborhood association that's going to be maintaining that roadway, unless they've entered into a separate agreement with Dominic for him to maintain it and them to pay him to maintain it. But that's one of the conditions, that that road has to be plowed and it has to be graded.
And I don't recall the answer at the Plan Commission. Is there a chance